Welcome to the channel. This is the boot breakdown, and I'm your man Jelani, aka the Modern Maverick. This channel was created for people to come and discuss cowboy boots, hats, fine tailoring, and just an overall timeless and classy lifestyle. So if you believe quality is always worth discussing, you've come to the right channel, and we're glad to have you here. So today we can just get right into it. We're gonna be taking a look at the Darin by Rujo Boots out of Dallas, Texas. Now, a couple weeks ago, I dropped a video and let folks know that during that unboxing, I was gonna put this boot on foot and I was gonna go the distance with it. I was gonna take it out of town. I was gonna go to New York City with the boot, and I was gonna exceed the average step count per day that most folks try to hit, somewhere around 10,000. And I was gonna double that, so 20,000 a day over 3 days. Well, I ended up doing more than that, right? 66,483 steps are what we're gonna be discussing today, and how this boot held up to the fashion capital of the world, AKA New York City, on one of its busiest weekends this year. Jay-Z took over Yankee Stadium, and I said, let's bring a little country to the big city. So jumping into it and picking up from where we left off, just an overview and a recap of the boot itself. We have a 100% genuine Pioruku medium-sized scale boot in a 7-toe. This boot is about 12 inches from the bottom to the top of this shaft here. It has a calf skin shaft inside and out with Pioruku scale inlay on the pull tabs there. The sole of these boots, and yes, I did go walking in them, is leather. You have both lemon wood and brass tacks holding this thing together on a leather stack heel with a rubber cap. Goodyear welt, single welting on this. And I gotta tell you, this is a finely constructed boot. I really love taking a look at the insole, the outsole, and how it's put together, and understanding that, you know, this is one where, if properly taken care of, can last you quite a while. And the small repairs that may come around with it, replacing the sole, etc., they've taken that in consideration with how they constructed this boot. So there's really no reason that this can't be an heirloom boot if you so choose. So my first impressions of this boot, as I said in the unboxing, visually, I mean, just absolutely stunning. Absolutely stunning. The first thing that caught my eye was the size of the scales. Not the overly large scales, but a nice medium-sized scale that flowed perfectly down into the 7-toe. Now, what did that mean when I looked at it? This boot is a dress boot. This is not a work boot. This is not a rodeo, move the cows around boot if you don't want it to be. But in essence, this is a dress boot, which you could ride in. If you take a look at the back of it, here you have a small shelf there on the heel where, you know, your jean can catch, or your spur ledge could be there if you so chose. Not too much of an overlay there, but just enough to get the job done. And I got to tell you, I wore a pair of 7 for All Mankind jeans with these, and the first impressions of the folks in New York City were just what mine were here in Texas. This is a beautiful boot, and it hung those jeans just perfectly. The color, again, another standout feature. When you look at the chocolate on top of the lighter brown and how that just flows together, the boot almost looks like it's in motion as it's sitting still. So as we walk through the streets of New York City, I got to tell you, heads were turning and folks were asking a lot of questions about the boot, about the hat, but mainly about the boot. What kind of material is that? Where do you get something like this? And so in night one, I knew, hey, these boots were ready for the fashion capital of the world. And we might just set a new trend or spark some new ideas, while we're out here mingling and mixing and enjoying the music of JC. So as I get into the on foot portion of this review, I got to tell you some of the things that you would think about and wonder about as you're walking through airports. We covered 2 airports. As you're going through a different type of terrain, the concrete jungle that is New York City, we went through Central Park. And then, of course, Yankee Stadium. You're going to hit concrete, grass, carpet, escalators, all types of changes in what your foot is stepping on. So you really do have an opportunity for your foot to become irritated if you're sliding around too much in there, or if there's not enough cushion to absorb the shock of constantly pounding concrete. And what I can tell you about this boot, again, it did not underperform. When I put this thing on and I walked through all the different terrain of the airport here in Houston, landing in Newark, New Jersey, getting through that airport, getting into my car, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and then finally enjoying New York to include the subway, I really felt no difference in this boot than I would have felt if I would have had on something great like an On Cloud sneaker. So comfortable. And that really speaks to the craftsmanship that Rujo has put into this boot in the fine details. Their airwalk cushion in the sole of the boot. Perfect. Within the first, I'd say 30 minutes, I felt like my foot was just completely molded to this boot, and there really was no break-in necessary. I was comfortable from, those first initial steps through the airport all the way to taking them off each night. And again, as I said, 66,483 steps I took in 3 days in New York City. And not one time that I think, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to soak or rub my feet when this is over. What I did also like about the boot as we walked through the city was that water, dust, it just handled it all like a champ, right? And that's what really these boots are meant for, right? Can you do work in them and also look good? And they passed the test with flying remarks. So when I take a look at the boot and I come back to, folks, the bottom line is this. None of these type boots are cheap, right? As they like to say, cool stuff ain't cheap and cheap stuff ain't cool. Well, this is really cool. But what the folks at Rujo have done is they've gone the extra mile of making it cost effective. And that's one of the things I do like about Rujo. They're constantly thinking about their customer, their client base, and they're constantly running sales that will allow you at one point or the other, multiple points likely throughout the year, to be able to attain a boot that you've had your eye on. So at one time it may be, $500-600. You give it a month or two, and then you'll suddenly see a 25% off or 30% off, and that'll run throughout the year on different models of their boots. And I really like that about them. They are very customer centric in that way. So the way in which I like to express value, I came up with a scorecard to discuss with you all, right? And in that scorecard, we take a look at 5 categories, right? The first is the cost value. How much does it cost relative to its peers within the market, right? And this is Rujo. So we're looking at boots from anywhere from the top tier Lucchese down to the other new kids on the block, Alpha Western Wear, all of who put out a genuine Pieruku boot. The second category is quality of materials. What are we working with here? All fish is not the same. All leather is not the same. Are we talking top tier? Or are we talking something that perhaps they just got a good deal on so they can mass produce very quickly? We're talking comfort and fit, what I, already talked about, walking in these things through New York City. Durability, how do they hold up? Was this a one wear and then they're done? When I come home, do I got to condition them again and then I'm good to go as soon as I'm ready to go? And then finally, style and appearance. Each of these categories is based on a perfect score being a 10, the lowest score being a 0. And then I weighted each of them, right? So the cost value comes in at 30% of the weight. Quality of materials is 25% of the weight. Comfort and fit, 20% of the weight. 15% of the weight goes to durability. And then finally, 10% style and appearance. So I took some time, on my flight back from New York and just really thinking about the weekend. And I said, how am I going to score this? This is a very nice set of boots. Very, very nice. Rujo did a great job. But in all fairness, how would it hold up to the bigger names who have been doing this longer? So I scored it on its own merit. And I believe that this boot would stand the test, over and over with some of the big dogs, the Blackjacks, the Lucchese's, etc. So into the score, I'm gonna put it up here, right here for you. Cost value weighted at 30%. I gave Rujo a perfect 10. Unbelievable. The reason I gave him a perfect 10, I was able to catch these on sale, right? I believe I paid about $380 for this genuine Pioruku boot, which genuine Pioruku usually hits for about $500 to $600 and up, right? You go take a look at Lucchese and you're 500 and up into, the 1000s and higher on their Pioruku. Well, $380 for these, I think, was a true bargain. Now, when they're not on sale, they're still, high 500s, maybe $600. I'm not sure of the actual cost. I don't think it's over $600, which puts them right in alignment with their competitors. But as I said before, Rujo is always having a sale. They're always thinking about their customer base. So these become affordable for most anyone who understands what a good cowboy Western boot costs at multiple times throughout the year. So if you can't get them right now, as we say in Texas, just give about 15 minutes, the weather's gonna change. Same thing with Rujo boots. Just give it a couple months and they will adjust so that you can enjoy their product. So quality and materials, weighted at 25%. Rujo, I gave him a perfect score of 10 again. In my unboxing, you'll remember I said these are the medium scale Pioruku, not necessarily the large scale that folks jump after. But again, this with this sleek profile and this 7-toe, this is a dress boot, right? This boot was meant for your dark denim, maybe your trousers, some chinos, right? I would even throw these on with a suit and I think it would handle that. So I don't expect the huge scales that you would associate with, say, a square toe or a broad square toe boot. You can stick your finger somewhat right under that scale there. You're dealing with genuine Pioruku. You do have the lift, in some areas, but you put your Bickmore on there, your conditioner, and these scales lay down beautifully, absolutely beautifully. So quality materials, weighted at 25%. I gave them again a perfect score of 10. So they got all of their points there. The third category, comfort and fit. I mean, if these things were not fitting true to size, if my foot was sliding around in there, or if my foot was just too tight on these dogs of mine, these dogs that played 4 years of college football, that ran track from 5th grade all the way through graduating college, they would have been barking all day. I'm a size 12D, and these things fit me perfectly. I mean, absolutely perfectly. And I was able to walk, again, 66,483 steps in 3 days. And at not one point did I think I need to soak nor rub my feet. So from a comfort and fit perspective, I think Rujo knocked that right out of the box, and I gave him a perfect 10 points. Durability. Now, this was my inaugural wear of these boots. And so having been able to break them in 3 days, again, 66,000 plus steps, throughout different terrain, different climates. It even rained in New York at one point. We went to upstate New York, Albany. We walked through the parks there. They held up, and they held up well. I noted normal scuffing on the bottom of the sole here on the leather. And that's what you want, honestly, because in a new boot, you guys who wear cowboy boots know this, some folks will actually take a fork or they'll go out and they'll scuff, because if not, you're gonna bust your ass because they are typically slick. These broke in very well. The scarring took place and I had no issues. Most important, I have no shaft savers in there. They are just standing up on their own. I do have shoe trees in here to maintain the shape, but if I go ahead and pop my cedar shoe tree out, it's super soft, but it's also maintaining its shape. That toe box, super soft, very supple. But if you look at that, right back in place. So I love that. And because of that, 15% on the weighted scale, a 10-point must. I gave them all 10 points there. Rujo, you are batting 1,000 right now. The last category is style and appearance. And this is a hard one, right? Because the place in which I took it to be judged is the fashion capital of the world. But when you're in the fashion capital of the world, you're going to see so many different things. So it's kind of a double entendre, if you will, because you took the country to the big city. However, the big city encompasses everything by way of diversity. So I can tell you about from the time I got off the plane to the time I got into my hotel room, walking through Central Park, again, Yankee Stadium, and going upstate to Albany, nothing but compliments on this boot. Folks wanting to know what kind of material it was, where could they purchase it, and like anyone seeing folks in cowboy boots, are they comfortable? So I was glad to tell folks that, yeah, they look good, but also you can do some work in these things. You can walk all day. Heck, you could probably go out there and get in a game or two at the US Open and play some tennis in them. This is just how comfortable they were. So when you take a look at all 5 categories, Rujo, you got a 10 for cost value. You got a 10 for quality and materials. You got a 10 for comfort and fit, a 10 for durability, and I'm giving you a 10 as well for style and appearance. That's a perfect score all the way up and down, and those things do not come easily. The 2 primary factors that are allowing this to be an overtop review, style and appearance, which actually carries the lowest weight. But we're in New York City where people don't stop and really talk that much. But people were stopping on the train everywhere we went, and they wanted to know about these boots. In Times Square, we were literally stopped walking across the street by a police officer who wanted to know where he could get these boots. The second factor, again, cost and value, weighted at 30%. At $380 on sale when I bought these boots using a code at the time, and now somewhere between $500 and $600. These are in line with the big dogs, right? Right in line with the big dogs who are raising their prices. Again, go take a look at Lucchese. They're over $1,000 for those, and I'll put these right next to those Lucchese's any day. As a matter of fact, I have those Lucchese's, and I'll tell you, these are way more comfortable. Way more comfortable. So for the cost value, I feel Rujo is giving you much more bang for your buck at roughly half the cost basis. And I say 95, knocking on 100% of the same quality that you will get from that other boot maker. I call this one a perfect Charlie. Perfect 10 straight down, perfect score. Perfect Charlie. Very, very, very nicely done, Rujo. So the final verdict on these, they're just, this isn't just a purchase of boots. This is an investment in craftsmanship. These are art. This medium-sized scale, that chocolate on brown, when I tell you, it looks like it's in motion standing still, but when you're actually walking, folks want to know what you have on your foot. So if you're looking for, again, that place where craftsmanship meets function, style, leading to reputation and quality, take a look at these. I would highly, highly recommend them. For me, this boot excels because it combines quality materials, thoughtful design, and that timeless style that I'm always after with all products that I buy and that I put on my body. And it stands out from the competition, both visually as well as how it hits your pockets. I confidently would recommend these boots if you're looking for a pair of Rujo. So with that said, if you've enjoyed this review, do me a favor and go ahead and hit the subscribe button so they can keep track of the math behind all of this. And it gives me an opportunity to keep bringing more reviews to you guys about these different types of boots, hats, and all things stylish lifestyle. So until next time, remember, style gets noticed, but craftsmanship earns respect. Keep booting.